Welcome back to Hoosier Homes and Hustles. If you're new to the channel, I'm Jessica Williams.
And I'm Stacy Preston.
And today we're diving into one of Indy's most iconic and maybe underrated cities, which is Speedway, Indiana. That is right. That's Speedway. The one with the Indy 500. But there's a lot more than race cars here.
This is part of our City Lovers series where we explore different neighborhoods around Indianapolis and give you the scoop on what it's really like to live there, schools, community vibe, pros, cons, all of it.
Today we have somebody who knows Speedway like the back of her hand, and that's Stacy Wilson, a fellow EXP agent and Speedway native. She's got the inside scoop, so let's jump in.
Welcome back to the show, Stacy.
Thank you.
All right, where are our treats today?
They're still at the store.
That's why we invited you back.
Right.
Let's be real.
That's why she was going to be the first repeat. We're for the snacks.
Right.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Well, first, we wanted to share some market stats for Speedway from 2024. In Speedway, the average days on market was 15. The median sales price is $226,000, and sellers are getting 96.4 of their asking price. Change in estimated value in the last 12 months has gone up 4%, and change in estimated value in the last 24 months is 16%. So this is a great neighborhood. It's very affordable. Values are rising, and I think that makes it appealing to a lot of buyers.
So, Stacy, how many years have you gone to the race?
Well, I have actually only attended one race. However, I grew up 2 doors down from the track. So to say that I have not been to the race is maybe an understatement, I guess, because I have been to the town of Speedway all but maybe, I think, 2 years on race day.
Awesome. I mean, why go to the race if you're 2 doors down?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I've actually fundraised and worked a few races, so maybe you can account that as attending. But usually we're out parking cars for my parents.
Right. So talk about an income stream, right? What does it cost to park at your parents' house? And do people come back every year? I know that's a thing.
Oh, yes. There are definitely repeat clients that are parking clients. If you know anything about Speedway, you know it is full of tradition. So that is the main thing about Speedway, Indiana, is tradition. So parking, we'll just tell you that this year it's $60 for a car, $75 for a large SUV or truck, and we even have a 10-passenger van that sold at $100 for a spot.
Nice.
So, I mean, 2 doors from the track, right by turn 4, and, yeah, it's big money.
Yeah.
Nice little side hustle.
So, Jessica, have you ever been to the race?
I've been once a few years ago when we were hosting a foreign exchange student, and we had never gone. We didn't really have that much interest, to be honest, but we were like, if she was here, this is probably something she needs to experience because people internationally know about the Indy 500. So we did. It was for us maybe a one and done. It's very hot. It's a very long day. I'm not a patient person, and there's a lot of lines.
Yes. Yes. So I've been one time as well. I happened to pick the year that it ended in a tornado. Oh. I was there in 2004, and it got delayed a few times because it was raining. And it was, again, very long day. I'm not very interested in it. I was also a one and done. I mean, it was cool to see the tradition and the experience and just say you've done it once, but I don't need to go every year. But if I had the setup she had, I would totally
different.
I was going to say, neither one of you are selling this, and I can tell you. I'm amazed to hear 2 people in the same room saying that it was a one and done, because to me, I mean, there is nothing like the month of May in Speedway. And I will tell you, since I moved out of there and I live in Zionsville, I have a hard time when people are like, what are you doing? Or Memorial Day weekend. And when they don't say something related to the track, I'm like, you're in Indiana. Like, what do you mean you're not going to the track? Like, I don't know. It's just, like I said, it's so phenomenal there.
I think you have to, like I said, if you have a good setup, you know where to go. I think if you're just a one time, never doing it again, it's very overwhelming, right? Where to park, and you walk. There's so much walking. You might park. I remember we parked on one end, but our seats were on the other. And that's a lot of walking.
It's
miles
huge
and miles of walking.
I was not expecting it because we were in the infield, the middle part.
Yeah.
And it was a massive space, and to walk, like you said, it was insane.
Yeah. So the year we went, we did park in someone's yard. We went with some friends that have season tickets. So they sit at the same place every year, and they park at the same place every year, and they know the people that own the home. And with the tornado warning, it was at the end. We actually hung out in their basement for 30 minutes while that tornado warning was going off. So for them, it's a tradition. They do it all the time, but I was just like, kind of not my thing. But I will also say, though, with May and just traditions, if you have small children, the 500 Festival Parade is so much fun. Have you ever taken your kids to that?
I have. I used to take my daughter every year. A company I used to work for they were on the board for the 500 Festival, so we always had great tickets, and we did a big brunch downtown beforehand and hosted our clients. And so I always went to that. For a few years I did that, and just again another amazing experience.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I wanted to note to that, and something that would be great about when you live in Speedway and you have students that go to Speedway High School, and if they're in band or in the arts, you will always be in the 500 Festival Parade and always walk on the track. So there is something
That's
amazing.
Wow.
Speedway,
I didn't know that.
Yes. Speedway High School Band is always marching in the 500 Festival Parade. So if you want to make sure your student or your child has that experience, Speedway is a great place to live because they will always be part of that. And no matter how small the band is, because you're watching the parade, you're like, oh, look, there's only like 20 of them. But it's definitely, yes, it's so sweet. And then they get to march around the 500, the track.
Cool. First off, Stacy, I know you grew up in Speedway, but tell us how you're still connected to Speedway today.
Well, my parents still live there, and I don't think that they will ever leave. So I go there often, probably 2 or 3 times a week. I'm definitely in Speedway. I mean, just 2 nights ago, we had dinner on Main Street. So I'm always going back. I love the shops there. I'm always going back to go shopping in the little boutiques there, or to have lunch or have dinner. There's so many events that go on, and I truly believe once a spark plug, always a spark plug. And if you don't know what that means, Speedway's mascot is a spark plug. So so I love that. I think most people in the state probably do know that. So anyway, yes, I'm still always going through there, just either visiting my parents or maybe supporting a local shop, doing different things. And since my daughter does dance over on the west side of Indianapolis, I am often there. And I really enjoy going back and going down those streets. And especially at this time of year, I love going back, and I'm always going to go back because you can hear the race cars. And there's nothing that sounds like the sound of spring more than a race car on the track.
So now every city or neighborhood has its perks. So what's one of the things you just absolutely love about Speedway?
So, I mean, I really keep focusing on the fact that Speedway has the Indianapolis 500 because it does make up so much of it. There's so much more to Speedway than that. But one of the things I do love is there's nothing like the month of May and driving through the streets. And I miss so much living in that small town. Speedway still has that small town feel. So that's definitely a perk there. I know a lot of people I grew up with who still live there, and definitely keep that small town vibe going. I still follow a lot of their pages on Facebook just because my parents are there. So I like to be informed about what is going on in the town. And it's definitely still a tight community. And one of the greatest perks is what they've done with Main Street. They have completely been redeveloping that over the past, probably 10 years, 15 years or so. And there's so much there now. And it's it's a great place to go. There's Speedway indoor karting, which is, how fun is that for kids? And
I've actually gone as an adult for my birthday.
There you go. So in addition to all of those things, there's also like Big Woods that originated in Nashville, Indiana. And they have this huge, beautiful building in downtown or Main Street area of Speedway. There's all these shops. There's an artist collective that has all this race, local artists who are doing racing artwork, which is just amazing. There's things like, mug and bun. Again, tradition. If you haven't had the root beer, I totally suggest going and having
the
it.
Root beer.
And then, but again, it's really about, I think, the fact that it is a small town in a big city. And that's one of the things I do love about it. And when I go there, I don't just go down like memory lane of going, oh, I grew up here. I truly see the charm that's still there. Just appreciate what the town is.
You know what I love about the neighborhoods in Speedway are all the front porches. And in May, everyone decorates them with the race flags. And it does feel like such a small town, but it is right in the middle of Indy. It's really cool.
It is. And that's, I always took heart, like growing up going, well, I am a small town girl. I grew up in the city. By all means, I grew up in the city, but I'm a small town girl. I grew up and had less than 100 people in my graduating class. So,
Yeah.
And then one thing I also wanted to add that is going to be pretty cool that they just added is the town of Speedway just passed a golf cart ordinance. So street legal golf carts can now be on the street.
Wow.
But not race weekend.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, that's
of
really
course.
smart.
Yeah. Everyone's starting their own races with the golf carts.
Yeah.
And you've already kind of touched on this a little bit with the schools, but if someone were looking to move to Speedway and they're really a little bit more interested about the schools themselves, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
So Speedway is in the top 10 list for public schools in the state of Indiana. It has been for a long time, and it probably always will be. They do definitely take pride in their rating on being a public school. It competes honestly with Zionsville, Brownsburg, Westfield, Carmel, all of those that are in the top. The small school district of Speedway competes with that. There's less than 1,900 kids in the whole district. There's 4 elementaries, a middle school, and a high school. It's definitely a place where I really am glad I went there. I'm glad I had that experience versus going to a large school. My daughter goes to a large school, and I see such differences in how I was brought up versus how she's being brought up in the school system. And Speedway, it's a great school system. So if you're going to live in the city and you're going to attend a public school, Speedway's where you want to be. They have 57% diversity in their school system. So, I think they're doing everything right. And it's definitely, like I said, if you're looking to be in the city and you're going to send your child to public school, Speedway is definitely the place you want to go.
The other thing, too, is all of the suburbs we've talked about, the school systems are massive. So I think it's a good point to differentiate that if you are looking for a small school that's not private, this could be a really good option. So let's talk about developments. Developments always change the landscape of a town. And I think Speedway is pretty mature as far as that town goes. But are there any new major projects or developments in Speedway that people should know about?
Yeah, so obviously Speedway's landlocked. It's like 4 miles by 4 miles, so it's super small. But they have been, though I did talk about on the west side of Indy where the commercial area is, there have been some new developments going in there. In the more recent times, they've redone where 465 comes in and 136 meet. So all of that's been redone, and then 74. And on that corner, they have put the new common thing of you build a crew car wash and an Aldi goes in and then
Starbucks
in a tire place. So all of that
Where's the auto parts?
That's all there. Seriously, if you pay attention to where a crew it goes, there's always an Aldi and a tire place, always there. So they're currently in the process of building a Montessori school right there in that corner, which it's all kind of jam packed. Like I said, Speedway's pretty landlocked. So they do have a new school going in there right in that area. But as far as other big developments, there's just no place to put those things. But they are always redeveloping things like Main Street. So they do have a redevelopment commission in Speedway that's always working on these things. And they also have a trail system there. So their growth is they grow within the city that they have, and they try to make things better and bring new opportunities. But as far as like for homes, there's no new home growth. It's just going to be taking those places that exist and redeveloping those and, and making them, the homes up to date.
As far as homes go, I have seen a fair amount of new builds that have gone in the old, in an old lot that they've taken a house down and put a new one up. I also know, didn't they just redo the IMS Museum?
Yes. So IMS Museum just opened recently. I'm so excited. I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? I'm absolutely in love with the fact of this Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But they did just reopen that, and it's supposed to be just so interactive and amazing. And that is something that will be.
And it's open now, right? Or it just reopened? I know it's new, so.
It is. It just reopened, and I'm so excited to see it.
So let's move on to some advice. Obviously, you've lived there previously. If anyone's either looking to move or even just visit, whether it's for the Indy 500 or for some other reason, what kind of advice could you give them?
So if you're looking to visit, I believe there's quite a few Airbnbs there. And, that does make sense with May, and the business that's brought there. If you're looking to move there, I'd say really know what you're looking for, because prices continue to go up, and I saw a small home on a small lot that probably was really, really affordable back when I lived there, and now it sold for like I think $230,000, and I think it needed some updates. So really know what you're looking for, know what you want to spend to be in the city, and know that you need to put some money forth in fixing someplace up, because it is an older town.
Right.
Most houses in the charming area mostly were built, in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah, I think most of them were. So yeah, some updates probably, and plan on some floor plans that aren't like open concept, small closets, if you get closets, small bathrooms. But those homes, I've toured several of them. They're so charming, and especially if they've been kept up. I love the ones that have like the original hardwood floors and some of those original build features. So you can find some really cute homes in there.
Yeah. So if you're looking for something of that nature, you're going to find that over in what I would call the Fisher area. So Speedway is really 4 quadrants, and that's Allison, Newbie, Fisher, and Wheeler. And just a little bit of history with that. Those are the 4 founders of the Indianapolis 500. So
wow, did not know that.
That is. And so when those names are also the names of the 4 elementary schools that are in Speedway. Okay. So Speedway is pretty much a square, and so it's cut off into those 4 quadrants. And so the very old nostalgic area is going to be the Fisher area, which is over by Main Street. And then Newbie is going to be the smaller homes that are more on the west end, and then southwest end. And then Wheeler would be more up towards where you're getting towards 34th Street and High School Road. And then just west of the Coke lot, and that's Wheeler. And then the area just east of the high school and on the northeast side of town is the Allison area, which is where I grew up. So there you go. There's some more. I told you, it's tradition and history and everything that comes with it in the town of Speedway.
We love to support local businesses, and I know there's some great ones in Speedway. So if you had to pick your top 3, what would you say your top 3 favorite local businesses are there?
So my number 1 pick would be Erin Designs. That is owned by a dear friend of mine. I've known her since high school, and she started out small. She's opened up this great store on Main Street. They sell racing, memorabilia, cute signs like the one in the background.
I was going to say, I bet these signs came from there.
Yes, some of those things came from there. And she has cute, it's not just racing stuff. She's definitely a home store. So she has wonderful little decor and sells a lot of Justin Patton, which he does a lot of racing shirts and artwork. So Erin Designs would be one of my top ones. And then the Speedway Artist Collective. It's just amazing to walk through there and see what people do. And again, it's really great that some of those, I know one of the artists was someone I went to high school with. So, people who grew up in Speedway really, really take to the track and take into the history. And I love to see when someone has taken something so amazing, like their talent and their love for the track, and they've made this beautiful art. Probably not everyone's taste, but you come to my house, it's decorated with Indy 500 stuff. So the Speedway Arts Collective is definitely a great place. And then there's so many things to choose from, but I would say if you're going to go, Dawson's on Main Street is one of my favorite restaurants to go to. So there's that. And then, there's so many great places to go there, but for shopping, I'm definitely going to choose Erin. For art, the Speedway Artist Collective, and for dinner, I'm going to go to Dawson.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy, for coming in and sharing your insights about the city of Speedway, sharing all your knowledge and history on the area. Now, if anyone wants to get in contact with you because they want to know more about it, what's the best way to do that?
You can check out my website at stacywilsonrealty.com, or you can email me at realtor@stacywilsonrealty.com, or you can reach me by phone at 317-508-1254 if you want to talk real estate or talk Speedway, because I enjoy that.
Awesome. I definitely learned some things today, so I loved your little fun facts. If you are thinking about making Speedway your home, Stacy is your go-to agent. Be sure to reach out to her.
And be sure to drop a comment if you've had any additional questions. We'll make sure to get those answered.
That's it for today's episode of Hoosier Homes and Hustles. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Let's hustle smarter
together. See you next time.